In this video, I'm going to take you through how I won double gold at my first Jiu Jitsu competition. If you've been following me for a while, you'll know that I've been doing Jiu Jitsu. I've been doing it for 1 year and 5 months now. And I'm still a white belt. The gym that I go to, MyBJJ, had an inter-competition. So it wasn't a legit competition. It was an inter-competition where all the branches of our school were competing in a inter-competition. So I'm not trying to get ahead of myself and say, I won, you know, this double gold thing, but I ended up winning all 5 of my fights, 3 in the gi, 2 no gi, and I won them all by submission. This is a inter-competition that I wanted to do before I actually go out and compete and just get a feel for what it's like. And it was good to get experience on the mats that aren't just rolls, that aren't just intense rolls, but they're competition, and there's rules and there's nerves and there's, you know, different fights against different people that have different strengths and different weaknesses. So I'm going to take you through all 5 of my fights and show you how I went. Here we go. Here is the first fight in the gi. So this is, we start standing up. He pulled guard. Nice. And then I'm just trying to beat his guard here. So I'm trying to get around the side and break his grips and stuff. He's got his crossface here in his arm. I end up standing up, trying to break the grips. And then I just kind of reach up for his shoulder, and I'm still in half guard here. And then he kind of bumps me off, and then I take front headlock, and I try and scoot around the back. So my goal pretty much the whole day was just to try and take people's back and work back attacks, especially for the guys that are taller than me, because everyone was taller than me. So there we go. He did a roll, I chased the back, and now I'm on his back here. I got my hooks in. And then he left a bit of an opening, so I chucked my arm under there and went for the one arm strangle. So there I've got a bit of a bite. I try and hook my legs up, but I got short legs, and I got the tap. So I won by rear naked choke there. And that was, man, I was pretty nervous, to be honest. I was trying to explain it to my mate who also competed, but like you get kind of like this muscle weakness, muscle soreness, like on the spot before you go on. It's pretty intense. But at the end of the day, you know, even though we're fighting, we're all mates and we're just competing in a sport that we love. So yeah, that was the first fight. It's cool that, you know, we can go out there, compete, but then, you know, shake hands and be mates after. Yeah. In the second fight, this is Dean, and he's much more dense, a bit shorter, a bit more stocky than the other guy. So here we go. He pulled guard as well, and then he trapped my foot. So I was trying to scoot around, but he trapped my foot. He got the underhook as well. And then I'm just pretty much trying to figure out what to do, to be honest, and get my own underhook. I did a wizard there over his arm there, but then I tried to shoot for the underhook. I'm really just trying to get my right ankle free because he's got it. And I'm pushing his head down to the mats to make it uncomfortable for him. And there I'm still trying to figure out. He kind of tries to come up, and then I get him in a front headlock again. So once again, we're in the similar position. He tried to grab my leg and I did a sprawl there. And then I just rolled and tried to take his back, but I didn't get the first. See how my left leg on the mat is not getting underneath him? I need to get that out so I can get my hooks in and get my points for the back take, but I just couldn't get it. So I ended up giving up on this back take after failing there with my legs. I kind of come up on my knees and try to do it again, but see, I missed my hook there. I got it, but I still don't have my right leg there, that hook. So then I just kind of come up, so we're back into side control, if you're following. And I'm trying to get the Kimura grip, but see, I've got one of his hands. I'm trying to get my hand in between his left hand there. I'm trying to get my right arm in, but it's squashed because he's kind of hugging it. I thought, oh, I might sit back and then do another back take, but I just kind of came through. See how my hand comes through a bit, but then I figure, oh, I'm in a head and arm triangle, so I'm just gonna do a head and arm triangle and kind of squeeze him out. So there I'm pushing his head in to make it tighter, and then I drop my body close to the ground to really make it tight, and I get the tap with the head and arm triangle. So that one was, you know, a bit longer, and I had to do a lot more squeezing and try and kind of work my way around, but I still got the submission, which I'm super stoked with. I wanted to win all my fights by submission. Here we go. This is how the refs announce the winner. They raise your hand. But once again, still mates. Yeah, I love it. It was cool. Now this is my third and last fight in the gi. Now this guy, actually, his name's Daniel, he said that he followed me on Instagram, so he knew who I was. And then he was telling me that he did a bit of judo before. So actually, after getting that piece of knowledge, I thought, I'm gonna get super close to this guy because I don't want to stand upright and just let him kind of throw me around the mats, because if you know what judo is, they're throwing you a lot and they're trying to off balance you. So I was trying to avoid that. So here we go, let's watch the fight. 3, 2, 1, and go. All right, so here we go, we're starting standing up. I'm trying to get a collar and a sleeve and get close to him. I go for the leg, but he kind of sprawls and gets away from it. And then here we are in our grips. I'm pushing him. I didn't realize that if you just keep pushing him that way, they bring you to the center, or else I would have stopped and backed off. But you know, it's my first competition, so still learning the rules. I was actually reading the rules the night before because I don't really know them. So here we go. I'm looking for grips again. I've got my grip. He's trying to grab my other leg, and then I'm trying to do something. I can't remember the match. He kind of tackles me, but then I roll him around, and I end up almost in mount to get my points. But see, his right elbow is pushing my leg down, so I end up back in half guard. So I got one leg out and one leg stuck in his legs. Here we are here. I'm trying to pass him around the side. He's doing a good job by blocking my leg. And I got his head here. And ultimately what I'm trying to do here, I've got a wizard there, or I've got an overhook on his arm. And once again, I'm still trying to figure out kind of what I'm doing here. I definitely need to get better at passing and work on that. But I'm trying to get his head in an uncomfortable spot so he lets go of my leg and then I can move around. But in doing that, you see he taps there. I wasn't actually trying to submit him in this point. I was just trying to pass around and make it uncomfortable for him. So what he really needed to do was let go of that hand and kind of just like, you know, frame, but he ended up tapping. So that's how I got my third submission. I don't know what you call that submission. I felt kind of bad because I wasn't just trying to like push his neck. I think he tapped because, there we go, that's finished. He tapped because his chin was getting pushed down, you know, and it's pretty uncomfortable in the neck. But I wasn't trying to like neck crank or push his head down and make him feel uncomfortable. I was just trying to do it to get a response so I could keep moving around. But he ended up tapping. Those are my fights in the gi. Now we're going to move on to the fights no gi. So no gi, if you're into Jiu Jitsu and you don't know, if you're doing no gi, you don't have the gi on anymore. So you're in a rash guard and shorts. So let's go through this. So I'm fighting the first guy that I fought in the gi. Much taller, longer limbs and stuff. So I did want to minimize the distance between us. And that's why I come out quite aggressive in the blocks. I'm looking for neck ties, looking for arm drags. See, I'm kind of pushing forward. I'm going for his legs, but then he drops to his knees, and then I take kind of side, and I was trying to go around the back then, but now we're resetting in the middle, and this is where we kind of restart. So I've got his leg under, or his arm under my leg. I've got one leg kind of around the back, and I've got seatbelt position. So from here, I'm trying to chuck that leg over, but then he kind of gives up his neck a bit, so I fall back, take his back, get my hooks in. So I get the points for taking the back, and I'm trying to work on my chokes here, or the rear naked choke. So see, my hooks are in, I've got my 4 points. Now I'm trying to lock up the body triangle, which is a bit challenging because my legs aren't very flexible. So yeah, here we are. I'm looking to kind of just hand fight my way. See how, so I've got my body triangle in my legs. He's kind of stuck there, and I'm trying to choke him there, pushing him, making some pressure with my head. And it's in quite deep, but he's pulling down with his hands. I've locked him in there with my body triangle, as you can see there. His hand goes away. I should have kept it down, so my hand fighting can definitely get better. But I did get the tap because it was quite a lot of pressure on the neck there. So I was up here and I was trying to row back, which is what you do when you have a one-arm choke. So that was the 4th fight, first no-gi fight, which I do love. And points, it was 4-2. So I did end up getting the points as well, but I didn't really care about points too much, to be honest. I was just trying to go for the submission in every fight. So here we go. This is my last fight, no gi, and this is against a guy, Luke, who's an awesome dude. And we actually rolled together at our gym. So this was the last no-gi fight. So here we are, I'm coming off quite aggressive, I'm pummeling his head. I try to get him in the front headlock, but he dodges it, and we have to come back in the middle. I think I poked him in the eye a bit, so I said sorry. I'm obviously not trying to hurt anyone, but get carried away in the moment sometimes. So see, I'm keeping his head down, coming off aggressive, getting his hands out of the way, looking for the arm drag, looking for anything. He's much taller than me, so I am trying to get in quite close to him. So here we are, a bit of hand fighting, a bit of wrestling. So I get his arm, and I fall back into half guard. And then I get under him, push him, and then I start setting up my foot locks. Now, foot locks are pretty confusing for me still, so I didn't really know what I was doing too much. We were practicing it during the week, like the week before this fight was foot locks, and we can't do heel hooks at the moment because I'm still a white belt. Luke's actually a blue belt, but see, it's not tight. My wrist is too low, and it's just pretty average technique, to be honest. So I'm pretty disappointed with how my footlocks went. But see, my positioning isn't very good. I sent this video to a couple of my mates and got some feedback. But yeah, the mechanics are pretty poor. See there, I'm like squeezing as hard as I can, and he's not even worried about his foot. He's just more annoyed because I'm yanking on his ankle probably. See how my hands are really low, and then it just slipped out there, and then he almost got my back, so I pushed off and then I stood back up. So I didn't get any points there, but that's fine because I'm looking for the submission anyway, but I probably should start thinking about points if I do compete in the future. So here we go, I got the arm drag again, he falls down, and then I end up in mount. So I secure this position and I get 4 points. And then I've got one arm up, he brings that arm up, and then I bring it over. And then once again, that sets me in for the other submission that I got before, the head and arm triangle. So here I am pushing his head in to make it nice and tight. I got my hooks in his feet to stop him from bridging me off. And then I swap and come out here and sprawl. He kind of almost gets me, but then I get back on mount. I'm like, oh, that was close. So now what I'm trying to do is actually get a better bite. So I need to get my body lower, push under his chin so that the choke is actually stronger on his neck and his arm, because he's kind of like this and I'm strangling him underneath there. So I get it in mount, but it's actually slightly stronger if you pop off the side here. You'll see me pop off the side, and when it's in, it's actually really tight. So here we go, here I pop off the side and then I sprawl low to the floor, and that secures the choke. So yeah, those are my 5 fights. So I ended up getting gold in the gi because I won every match, and then gold in no gi as well because I won every match too. But the main thing that I was stoked about was just competing and pushing myself, and also submitting. So I think submissions are the most exciting thing about jiu-jitsu, and that's why people watch. So I really want to be an exciting jiu-jitsu player, but also I want to get better at submissions. Like, I feel like if you submit the person, you have truly won, like you've truly dominated. And if you win by points, yes, positionally you have won, but you don't have that same feeling of submitting that person. So yeah, that was my first jiu-jitsu competition, or inter-competition if you want to call it that. I'm looking at doing an external competition. You know, obviously I'm a personal trainer. I'm not a jiu-jitsu athlete at all, but I train it 3 to 4 times per week. So around, I don't know, 4.5, 6 hours per week of my training goes to jiu-jitsu, and I'm hitting the gym about 5 times a week. So it's nice for me to challenge myself. You know, coming from sport, growing up as a kid, I miss that, you know, adrenaline and that competitive side that I apply to my business and my training. But it's nice to actually compete in a sport where it's like, okay, there's going to be a winner, and it's a solo sport, so it's really just you. There's no team sports, which I used to play. I used to play rugby, volleyball, softball, athletics, which was actually individual, volleyball. So team sports, but individual sports, like obviously they rely on you and your skill and your technique and your strength. And being strong definitely helped me on the weekend. If you are doing jiu-jitsu, I would recommend lifting weights. Even if it's just for injury prevention, being stronger is going to help that, but it also can help, you know, if you have equal technique, but you're stronger than that person, you probably have a higher chance of winning. Although the sport is 100% technique, like if someone has better technique than you, but you're stronger than them, they're gonna beat you. But being strong does have its perks in certain places, definitely with stand-up and wrestling and things like that. Yeah, I just wanted to share that. That's my first jiu-jitsu competition. I got, you know, my double golds, and I'm looking for another competition to do in a month or so to really challenge myself in an actual external competition, not a competition between branches of my school. Yeah, shout out to all my professors that helped me at MyBJJ, to Mario for organizing it, for John Lur, and Salvador for refereeing, and the boys that helped me on the mats, you know, during training. So yeah, this is probably going to be, you know, every video once in a blue moon, maybe a jiu-jitsu thing. If I ever compete and have footage, I'll share it with you on my YouTube channel. But yeah, back to fitness content very soon. See you next time in the video. Make sure you subscribe if you want to see more, you know, of my fitness content. Cheers.